pass to Jagr, trying to beat the defense, goes down, he's pulled down, scores, it goes in! And he whacked at it out of midair. What a goal by Jaromir Jagr. That will go down. Curlin drags beautifully past Commander. Jagr, score! There's one that brings you out of your seat.
Here's vintage Jaromir Jagr. No chance for the D. Pulls up, little Curlin drag. See you later, alligator.
There are legends, and then there's Jags. The talent, the longevity, the mullet, the salute. Hockey has never known another superstar so electrifying, enigmatic, and enduring. From his humble beginnings in the shadow of the Iron Curtain, to NHL icon status, to cultural phenomenon. This is the story behind Jaromir Jagr. Jaromir Jagr was born February 15, 1972, in Kladno, Czechoslovakia, a hockey-mad Eastern Bloc country that remained under the thumb of the Soviet Union. Life in the Soviet satellite state was grueling, and Jagr's father knew his son had but one path to prosperity: hockey. Jagr first started skating at the age of 3, and it wasn't long before the youngster started demonstrating preternatural gifts on the ice. Soon enough, hockey became Jagr's sole focus in life. At 7 years old, Jagr was already training like a professional, doing 1,000 squats a day on top of the regular physical labor he did on his family's farm. His abnormal strength for his age, along with his natural talent and compulsive work ethic, enabled Jagr to play with kids 2 or 3 years his senior by the time he was 10. Even against older competition, he was usually the best player on the ice. As a preteen, Jagr attended a school in his hometown of Kladno for serious hockey players. They didn't know what serious meant, though, until Jagr arrived. On some days, Jagr would come to practice with his age group in the early afternoon and stick around past dark to get reps in with the older players. By the age of 15, Jagr was playing at the highest level in Czechoslovakia. 2 years later, Jagr became the youngest member of the Czech national team, which afforded him his first opportunity to test his mettle against NHL caliber talent. The teenager more than held his own. After making mincemeat of the competition at the 1990 World Juniors, Jagr also delivered on the big stage, notching 3 goals and a pair of assists in the World Championship tournament to help Czechoslovakia to a bronze medal. Jagr's first major international showcases couldn't have come at a better time either. Shortly before Jagr stepped out onto the world stage, the Velvet Revolution had reshaped Czechoslovakia, where the people had overthrown the communist regime through nonviolent protest and transformed the country into a legitimate democracy. With the Iron Curtain falling, Jagr's path to the NHL was a relative breakaway. Previously, under communist rule, defection was the only way to the NHL for Czech nationals, and trailblazers like Václav Nedomansky and Peter Stastny paid a considerable price to pursue their hockey dreams. Jagr, however, wouldn't have to jump through those hoops. Instead, Jagr became the first Czechoslovakian to be selected in the NHL draft without first defecting. He was even there in person in Vancouver, rocking a hairstyle that would eventually become his trademark when the Pittsburgh Penguins took him 5th overall in the famously star-studded 1990 draft.
Went to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they selected Czech star Jaromir Jagr. He's an 18-year-old left winger, 60 points in 51 games this past season with Kladno in the Czechoslovakian League. Jagr is considered by some to be the best player available in the draft.
For obvious reasons, the jersey he pulled on for the photo op that night had number 90 on the back, but by the time Jagr made his NHL debut months later, he was wearing number 68, a nod to the Prague Spring protests of 1968, and the number that would eventually become as revered in the sport as 99 and 66. The Penguins were a proverbial powder keg when they selected Jagr, already stacked with stars like Paul Coffey, Tom Barrasso, and, of course, number 66, Mario Lemieux. Number 68 put them over the top. In his first NHL season, even amid crippling homesickness and a sizable language barrier, the 18-year-old dazzled, scoring 27 goals and finishing with 57 points, en route to an all-rookie team honor and a 6th-place finish in Calder Trophy voting. Jagr made an immediate impression on the league with his combination of skill and size, while his long hair and on-ice panache made him an instant fan favorite. And he was, it turned out, exactly what the Penguins were missing.
Johnson shot, save, rebound, score! Jagr gets the goal! His first national goal.
Even with Lemieux sidelined for more than 2/3 of the regular season, Pittsburgh still finished first in their division, and they were virtually unstoppable in the playoffs with their captain back in action. After a tight 7-game series with the New Jersey Devils in the first round of the playoffs, the Penguins went into cruise control, dispatching Washington and then Boston in short order before thumping the Cinderella story Minnesota North Stars in the Stanley Cup Finals. For his part, Jagr was a key piece of the Penguins' first ever championship, collecting 13 points in 24 playoff games, including 5 assists in the Stanley Cup Finals. And Jagr, who some fans had started referring to as Mirio Jr., which happens to be an anagram of Jaromir, was only getting started. In his second season, Jagr improved across the board, notching more goals and assists than he had as a rookie, while also upping his plus-minus. It was clear that the Penguins had another superstar on their hands, and Jagr's otherworldly performance in the 1991-92 playoffs only cemented that. Just months removed from his 20th birthday, Jagr put up 24 points in 21 games that postseason, tormenting a trio of Eastern Conference rivals before propelling the Penguins to a second straight championship with a 4-game sweep of the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Jagr also authored the most iconic moment of that title run, a spectacular game-tying goal late in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, punctuated with a prototype of the no-glove salute that eventually became his signature.
And a good move, another good move. He's in, scores. What a goal! Jagr ties it for Pittsburgh.
From that point onward, even though he remained in Lemieux's shadow in Pittsburgh, Jagr was an unstoppable force. Over the next 2 seasons, Jagr missed a total of 3 games, while averaging 33 goals and 64 assists per year. In the lockout-shortened 1994-95 campaign, which Lemieux missed after being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, Jagr put up a whopping 70 points in just 48 games en route to his first Art Ross Trophy, the award given annually to the NHL's leading point scorer. And when Jagr was reunited with Lemieux the following season, he really went off. In 1995-96, at the age of 23, Jagr exploded for 62 goals while adding another 87 assists, his 149 points setting a new single-season record for European-born players. His follow-up season was a comparative disappointment. He put up a mere 95 points in 63 games. And just as he was hitting his peak, Jagr was given the spotlight all to himself in Pittsburgh. Following the 1996-97 season, in which the Penguins failed to advance past the Eastern Conference Finals for a 5th straight year, Lemieux, ravaged by cancer and persistent back problems, retired at the age of 31. Suddenly, the franchise was in Jagr's hands, and the kid from Kladno, already a perennial all-star, didn't disappoint. For the next 4 seasons, nobody touched the Art Ross Trophy except Jagr, who averaged 43 goals and 68 assists per year over that span, while earning himself a pair of Lester B. Pearson Awards, a Hart Trophy, and, just for good measure, a gold medal at the '98 Olympic Games. Finally, with Lemieux retired and Wayne Gretzky on his way out as well, Jagr had taken over as hockey's biggest star, racking up accolades and adoration like only a future Inner Circle Hall of Famer could. Those halcyon days in Pittsburgh couldn't last forever, though. As the 2000-2001 campaign unfolded, Jagr, who had been named captain of the Penguins years prior, began to grow disgruntled, productive as he was. His relationship with head coach Ivan Alinka grew strained, and the midseason return of Lemieux, who famously unretired at the age of 35, upset the power dynamic in Pittsburgh's locker room. And so, after 11 brilliant seasons with the Penguins, highlighted by 2 Stanley Cup championships, 5 Art Ross trophies, and 7 All-Star nominations, Jagr's growing disillusionment, combined with the club's mounting financial woes, brought about the end of his tenure in Pittsburgh. In the summer of 2001, the Penguins traded their superstar right winger to the Washington Capitals. The Capitals were desperate to get over the hump when they sent 3 prospects to Pittsburgh in exchange for Jagr, having won their division in each of the previous 2 seasons, but failed to advance past the quarterfinal round of the playoffs, and this after falling in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1997-98. Jagr, they figured, could get them to the promised land. They were so confident, in fact, that within 3 months of acquiring Jagr, the Capitals signed their new star to a mammoth 5-year extension that made him the game's highest paid player, earning $11 million per season. That investment didn't pay off, though. Jagr, creeping closer to his 30th birthday, regressed in Washington. He was still dangerous, averaging more than a point per game in each of his first 2 seasons with the Capitals, but he wasn't close to as productive as he had been with the Penguins. Whether it was age or mileage, Jagr, who averaged 76 games per non-lockout shortened season during his time in Pittsburgh, wasn't the same, and certainly wasn't dominant enough to turn an aging, flawed Capitals team into a legitimate contender. His time in Washington was also marred by multiple financial indiscretions, including the revelation of an unpaid gambling debt of more than $500,000. It was also revealed during his run with the Caps that Jagr owed the IRS millions of dollars in unpaid back taxes. Ultimately, Washington missed the playoffs in his first season with the club, lost in the first round the following season, and then grudgingly started rebuilding. Naturally, unloading Jagr and his hefty contract was one of their top priorities, and just after the halfway point of the 2003-2004 campaign, the Capitals managed to do just that, finding an unexpected trade partner in the New York Rangers, an old, mediocre team seemingly destined for a rebuild of their own. That murky future would have to wait though. After months of negotiations between the NHL and the NHLPA failed to produce a new collective bargaining agreement, the owners locked the players out just weeks before the start of the 2004-2005 campaign, initiating a work stoppage that ultimately lasted more than 10 months and led to the cancellation of the entire season.
It is truly unfortunate that the union's willingness to partner with us does not extend from international competition in the hockey arena to the collective bargaining arena.
For his part, Jagr returned to Europe to stay sharp during the lockout and spent the season tearing it up for his hometown club, Kladno, back in the Czech Republic, and later for Avangard Omsk of the Russian Super League, now known as the KHL. Across the two stints, Jagr put up 66 points in 49 games, and then carried the Czech team to a gold medal at the IIHF World Championships, leading his team in points, en route to becoming one of just 29 players in history to win a World Championship gold medal, an Olympic gold medal, and a Stanley Cup championship. The lockout, it seemed, had rejuvenated Jagr. However, when the NHL reconvened for the 2005-2006 campaign after ratifying a new 6-year CBA, the refreshed Jagr returned to an increasingly unrecognizable Rangers team. The club had jettisoned several big names from its 03-04 roster, and expectations were low as they ventured into a new era. Apparently, though, Jagr didn't get the memo. The newest member of the Triple Gold Club went off in his first full season in the Big Apple, carrying the Rangers to an improbable playoff berth with a 54-goal, 123-point outburst at the age of 33. Though New York was ultimately swept in the first round of the playoffs in 05-06, Jagr had almost single-handedly righted the ship for the woebegone franchise. And the rejuvenated veteran, who took home his third career Pearson Award and was later named team captain for his efforts, managed to sustain his elite play into the following season too. Jagr put up another 96 points in 2006-2007, his 15th consecutive season with at least 30 goals, which tied Mike Gartner's NHL record, to lead New York back into the playoffs, where they were ultimately bounced by the Buffalo Sabres in the conference semifinals. Still, while Jagr's performance tailed off in 07-08, his final year under contract, the 35-year-old was still a valuable contributor, managing 71 points for New York while playing in all 82 regular season games for a third consecutive year. And if his relatively underwhelming platform season scared off any prospective suitors, Jagr compelled them to reconsider in the playoffs, where he racked up 15 points in 10 games for the Rangers, who lost again in the conference semis, this time to Jagr's former team, the Penguins. Ultimately, as he stared down unrestricted free agency for the first time in his career, it seemed as though there'd be plenty of teams interested in signing him. Nobody could have predicted where Jagr would end up though. On July 4th, 2008, one day after learning that the Rangers would not be offering him a new contract, Jagr shocked the hockey world by agreeing to a 2-year deal with Avangard Omsk, the same KHL team he'd played for during the 04-05 lockout. Jagr had gone into free agency looking for a 3-year deal, with the intent to return home to Kladno when that contract expired. But no NHL team was willing to meet his demands. So, Jagr made what he called the toughest decision of his life hockey-wise, and ostensibly closed the book on his magnificent NHL career after 17 seasons. Though he wasn't quite the dominant force he was in his younger years, Jagr still shined in his return to the KHL, finishing 7th in the league in points in 08-09, in which he was also named captain of Avangard. His output dipped in his second season, however, and he didn't so much as entertain a potential return to the NHL when his contract expired, instead penning a new 1-year deal to return to Avangard for the 2010-2011 campaign. But just when it seemed like age was about to get the best of Jagr, the 38-year-old pulled a fast one on Father Time, averaging more than a point per game in his third season with Avangard before putting on a tour de force performance at the 2011 World Hockey Championships. He was, in fact, named the tournament's top forward after scoring 5 goals with 4 assists in 9 games, helping the Czech Republic to a bronze medal. Rumors of his demise had been greatly exaggerated, it seemed, and the stage was now set for yet another twist in the epic saga that is Jagr's long, winding, inimitable career. On July 1st, 2011, after days of fevered speculation, a 39-year-old Jagr signed a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Flyers, returning to the NHL following a 3-year sojourn in Russia.
2:12 remaining in the power play time. Jagr up the middle, and on goal! He has his first! He scores! At long last, Jaromir Jagr on the board as he beats up.
Naturally, fans wondered how much the graying icon could contribute at his age, but Jagr, whose commitment to fitness had only intensified with age, made it clear very quickly that he wasn't ready for pasture. Not even close.
Oh my gosh.
Do I need a workout? 40 years old?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
He racked up 54 points with the Flyers, helping them to the Eastern Conference semifinals, and kicking off an incredible period of NHL nomadism for Jagr, whose legendary status grew exponentially with each passing year. Jagr spent another 6 seasons in the NHL following his triumphant return to Philadelphia, bouncing from Dallas to Boston to New Jersey to Florida to Calgary, putting up points and logging meaningful minutes until his final season with the Flames, at the ripe old age of 45. Along the way, Jagr became the NHL's most compelling phenomenon.
Hi, I'm Jaromir Jagr from Kladno, Czech Republic. My favorite player growing up was Jaromir Jagr.
He wasn't a man so much as a mythical creature, an ageless wonder with legions of admirers in every city who seemingly came out just to see him.
It's to see Jaromir Jagr. Look at this collection of guys. They put all his sweaters together. They've mulleted it up.
That extended final chapter also allowed Jagr to further burnish his NHL resume, not that it needed it. When he took off his Flames jersey for the last time on December 31st, 2017, Jagr sat second on the all-time points list, behind only Gretzky, third in goals, behind Gretzky and Gordie Howe, fourth in games played, and fifth in assists. He also ended his NHL career with 135 game-winning goals, by far the most in history, to go along with a litany of other records. You didn't think he was done playing hockey just because his NHL days were over, though, did you? Just days after being placed on waivers by the Flames midway through the 2017-2018 campaign, Jagr was assigned, at his request, to HC Kladno, rejoining his hometown team that he had purchased a majority stake in years prior. And as of 2022, he's still going. Though we saw only limited action for Kladno in the immediate aftermath of his NHL career, Jagr has been a regular contributor for years now, providing reliable secondary scoring through his late 40s and into his 50s. And don't bet on him hanging it up anytime soon.
When you love something, it's tough to give up.
Yeah.
And I love hockey, and I sacrifice so much for it. I cannot give up.
So long as he can still tie up his skates, it seems, the greatest European-born hockey player in history refuses to close the book on his storied and unparalleled career, which, as of 2022, had spanned 34 years over multiple continents and produced more accolades, records, and championships than one can count. No matter when he decides to call it quits, though, this much will have been long settled. There will never be another player as enchanting and as everlasting as Jaromir Jagr. The man, the myth, the legend. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.